The following presentation is a summary of the ICAO project that was undertaken by Group 11 in BE 605 Project Management course at the University of Waterloo. We would like to thank Professor Peter Carr from the University of Waterloo for providing executive project leadership and meeting with the project team on a regular basis to provide good feedback for the project. We would also like to thank Mr. Marco Mearns, who is the Chief Integrated Aviation Officer from ICAO, for his constant support and guidance throughout the project. So, our project client was Mr. Marco Mearns and the project sponsor was Dr. Peter Carr from the University of Waterloo. The project team consisted of 6 people with various backgrounds and skills with degrees in computer science, management sciences, and various other engineering backgrounds. Following were the roles for this project. Naira was the project manager, Shikhar was the communication manager, Noel was the quality manager, Sneh was the research manager, Saurabh was the risk manager, Alves was the business analyst. The International Civil Aviation Organization is a United Nations specialized agency established by states in 1944 to manage the administration and governance of the Convention on International Civil Aviation. ICAO works with 193 member states and industry groups to reach consensus on international civil aviation standards and recommended practices and policies in support of a safe, efficient, secure, economically stable, and environmentally responsible civil aviation sector. ICAO also set up a solution center for member countries so that they can achieve aviation development objectives. Resources are provided for the protocol questions for the member state to assess the civil aviation requirement for compliance of their state's civil aviation practices. The University of Waterloo is proud to collaborate with ICAO in investigating and providing it with resources that will strengthen the solution center that it has set up for helping member countries to meet aerodromes and ground aids aviation standards. This project is part of the coursework to be completed for Project Management BE 605 at the University of Waterloo. The students enrolled in the course were assigned to work on the project after a class survey. The scope of this project included researching training resources, software products, online tools and articles for the 89 protocol questions in the resource file provided by ICAO, and automating the resource matrix that conveys repeated resources for PQs. The project team has taken due diligence while doing the project considering the sensitivities, issues, and situations in some of the countries. We tried to implement the agile project life cycles for this project with planned and iterative approaches. Hence, we defined project parameters, scope, and how interactions between project stakeholders should take place. To thoroughly understand the project requirements, we set up various meetings with the client and Professor Peter Carr. We followed PDCA cycle that is planned to target 11 PQs per week, finding resources to each PQ, checking quality of each PQ, and lastly submitting weekly status report to the professor. The diagram illustrates the design and execution of how the team decided to go ahead with the project. As soon as the project was handed over to Group 11, we as a team watched the interview of the client with Professor Peter Carr and tried to thoroughly understand the requirements. We then prepared a project plan for the next 8 weeks. The Aerodrome and Ground Aid resource file had 89 protocol questions, and the project manager decided to distribute it equally over the 8 weeks and amongst the team members. The target was to complete 11 PQs per week, which is approximately 2 PQs per person. The 11 PQs were from different critical elements, namely CE1 to CE7. The team had decided to find all the resources by Friday of each week, and then the quality manager would thoroughly check for workability, duplicity, and authenticity of the links found. The resource sheet was uploaded on Google Drive, and members could add links to the PQ that was assigned to them, but any changes to the sheet was tracked by the QC manager. The resource sheet also had a field for resource type and a short description of the link. Once the QC manager approved the links, the project manager will gather all the data to submit to the weekly report to the professor. This procedure was repeated for 8 weeks until 89 PQs were complete. We then moved ahead to prepare the final presentation and deliverables as per the client's request. The final report and presentation will also be completed and submitted to the professor and the client. We now arrive to the issues and challenges of this project. We had a hard time understanding what kind of resources were required. For example, were the resources supposed to be country specific? We also found some PQs to be ambiguous in nature. From the human resource perspective, some of our team members lacked knowledge of aviation. Hence, a lot of time was invested into understanding the terminologies and understanding each and every PQ to find the right resource. Our team members were students, and so there was lots of workload from other courses that we had to also consider. One of our team members left the project in week 7, and so we had to rework the milestones and assignments. In terms of the project scope and requirements change, in the 6th week of the project, we were requested by the client to present the resources in a matrix-readable format, which meant we were supposed to map similar PQs based on keywords, critical elements, common links, etc. This task was very tedious and added a strain on the timeline since we had already completed most of the PQs. Mapping the PQs to each other also required manually reading and understanding each PQ and mapping the similar nature of the PQs. Through the successful implementation of the project, we were able to successfully find resources for the 89 protocol questions based on 7 critical elements provided to us. Our team found 163 unique, functional, and accessible links for the PQs. Also, we created the matrix with the links mapped to the corresponding PQs, which were automatically denoted with a 1 if a link had a similar PQ and 0 otherwise. Here we can see the resource file, which contains all of the PQs. This sheet contains details such as type of resource, information about the cost of the resource, start date if resource is a training course, and language of the resource file. The resource sheet also has a column at the end of each PQ line which maps it to similar PQs. This mapping and resource link is auto-populated on the matrix sheet. Here is the matrix file in which each link is mapped to the corresponding PQs, and related PQs are automatically denoted by a 1 if the link belongs to the similar PQ, and 0 otherwise. This matrix will make it feasible for the client to upload the data on their respective software. Now we're going to analyze the collected PQs to gain some insights from the data. Here we have created an interactive dashboard that contains a pie chart and a bar graph for better visualization. We can see the distribution of PQs versus the number of resources found for the PQ, and we have a maximum of 12 resource links to the particular PQ. Here we have analyzed how our issues and challenges has affected our weekly target of 11 PQs per week. As seen from week 6, indicated with the green bar, we had to prepare an automatic matrix. As a result, we had to complete all remaining 34 PQs in that 6th week. Here we can see the diversity of the types of resources that we have collected. We had about 98 online articles, followed by 18 public manuals, 16 general training links, 15 PQ target links, and 11 software products. Here we have segregated our resources based on the countries. It is seen that majority of the data comes from those countries that have maintained good civil aviation standards. Based on research conducted from this project, we would like to share the following information. With our resources, aerodrome stakeholders could benefit from a greater operational resilience by proactively managing leading processes to reduce disruptions. They can achieve more predictable and powerful ways to optimize operational efficiency. They can get better situational awareness in real time and that allows aerodromes to act swiftly in case of safety incidents. They can also develop a wildlife management to identify hazards. The countries with limited resources and infrastructure issues can mostly benefit from this online repository, since those states cannot afford to fund enough towards aviation and training and exercises. The resources provided are apolitical in nature. Hence, the political situations prevailing in every country could present specific requirements which can be looked at by ICAO and communicated to project management students. We recommend a review of these resource links from the technical department of the ICAO and any feedback regarding the quality. Further requirements would help future students tailor customized solutions. It would have been great if we had a customized resource sheet and a matrix at the start of this project. As mentioned, we successfully built an automated matrix which can help eliminate several issues. Moving forward, we would be more than happy to provide any technical support with regards to this matrix. Finally, to conclude this presentation, the team is delighted on completing the project in a timely manner and will love to support the future teams. The project team would like to once again thank Professor Peter Carr and Mr. Marco for providing this learning opportunity. Mr. Marco's persistent efforts and time invested in this project was one of our keys to success. We hope the work provided by the team proves useful to ICAO towards enhancing their solution center. Thank you.